showtime! Get ready, fighters!
Dead or alive. Don't lie, anytime you hear that, the first thing you think of is boobs. Hey, I like me some hot chicks as much as the next guy, but it's unfortunate that even when Team Ninja's 3D fighting series tries to be legit, it still has to deal with this bad rep. It's their own fault though, and now with Dead or Alive Dimensions on the Nintendo 3DS, you can finally experience those wonderful fun bags in 3D. But is the game itself actually worth playing? Visually, it looks great. Adding 3D to the already stunning cutscenes will make your jaw drop. Unfortunately, with the 3D on, the frame rate does slow from 60 to 30 frames per second. Dimensions is colorful, flashy, and nice to look at, for several reasons. Honestly, the shameless sex appeal is pretty toned down this time. Heck, it's actually pretty mild compared to Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur. It's definitely there, sure, and it's got that supposedly pervy model viewer that every fighting game has these days. Point is, when you think of Dimensions, think of this. And not this. The music is a collection of tracks from older games. It all sounds great, sound effects too. Slamming foes into walls and electric fences sounds so satisfying no matter how many times you do it. The voices and constantly repeated lines can get a bit grating sometimes, but it's not really enough to hurt the game.
Let's play!
While there are several single-player modes, arcade, tag mode, survival, Chronicle seems to be the main attraction. It's basically a summary of the 4 main DOA games and tries to tie them all into one big story. And it's an absolute mess. But it's hilarious. Everything is ridiculously over the top, Ayani's always getting slapped, Kasumi's almost murdered by her own father, and the dialogue is priceless.
Then tell him this. Dorotek is my father, so it has nothing to do with me.
And these girls get into fights for the dumbest reasons. Hitomi accidentally mistakes Ayani for somebody else, so obviously she must die. Arcade mode is a collection of arcades from previous games. Tag mode is a little weird. Instead of controlling both characters, you only get one and the computer gets the other, unless you have a friend playing. It works alright, but your AI buddy is kind of stupid. Still, Dimensions is fun and extremely fast-paced. The huge roster of characters, including all previous bosses, are well balanced to keep the fight moving, and there's almost no such thing as a runaway game here. The gameplay itself revolves around a simple rock-paper-scissors concept. Punches beat throws, throws beat counters, and counters beat punches. It's not as luck-based as it sounds, though. After some practice, it's pretty easy to break combos, so you have to pressure the opponent with delayed attacks and critical hits. If it sounds confusing, Chronicle Mode does a great job teaching the game as you play along. For some reason, it continues these training sessions throughout the entire story, but they are skippable. You can also send your foe flying through the environment to new areas, though the damage taken from this seems a little too high. You could lose almost half your health by just falling down some stairs. Dimensions is really easy to just pick up and play. The control layout is simple and perfect for the 3DS. At a glance, the game looks like a button masher, but it's actually much more in-depth than that. However, the single-player modes are way too easy. They eventually pick up the difficulty a bit, and you can set the AI to near impossible in free play, but for the most part, you won't have any trouble with anything besides maybe 100-man survival. The upside to this is it gives you plenty of chances to try out techniques to use against tougher opponents online. Nobody plays fighters for the single-player modes anyway. With local multiplayer, you can play free and tag modes with others, and from my experience with 2 different Wi-Fi connections, I had very few problems with the online. Also in single player, you'll be constantly unlocking new minor content like costumes, stages, and figurines for the Street Pass. And there's plenty of characters to learn. After you beat Arcade and Chronicle, you won't often sit down with Dimensions for hours at a time, but it's addictive enough to keep you coming back for more. When I first bought my 3DS, I also bought Street Fighter 4, and while it was fun, it always felt a tad uncomfortable. The game wasn't really designed to be played on a handheld. However, Dead or Alive was practically made for portable play. The deceptively simple layout is well suited to the 3DS, and even after I'd played enough for this review, I wanted to play some more. Not for the chicks, mostly, but for the gameplay. It might just be one of the best portable fighters out there. It's a buy.
Winner! Oh yeah, I'm gonna sleep good tonight.